What's up? What is up? How are you doing? Good? Good. Glad I asked. I'm doing pretty good. I'm going through a little bit of a cancer scare, which is why I'm actually making this video. To be fair, everything is a bit of a cancer scare when you're a stage 4 patient who's in remission. Like, being on the internet itself is a cancer scare, but I'm going through a couple specific symptoms and I'm having some tests done, so I'm going to tell you about those. One thing I noticed as I'm making this video is that I have not enough shirts for someone who's going to be on camera constantly. Like, I have a closet full of shirts and tank tops, and this is actually the first shirt I wore during the video when I was announcing my diagnosis to my friends and family. So it occurred to me, like, dude, you got to get a better rotation than the 9 shirts that I wear. So if you have any awesome shirts or suggestions, link them in the comments. Tell me what I should be wearing. Now that I got the big issue off my chest, which is my shocking lack of t-shirts that I like to wear, we can address the little issue, which is how am I having a cancer scare just 5 months after being declared in remission and just 1 month after having a perfectly clean PET scan? And the answer is that not all cancer scares are created equal, especially when you've been diagnosed with advanced metastatic cancer twice, which I have. Like, you have to address anything as though it can potentially be cancer. Even though right now, what I'm going through, I know the likelihood of it being cancer is low, you just can't move on to other potential diagnoses of things before you clear yourself of the biggest danger, which is a recurrence. Okay, so even though this isn't like my lymph node popping out of my face like in February when I was diagnosed with a stage 4 recurrence, you know, what's going on? What's happening with my body? Why am I a little bit concerned that I might have something that needs to be looked at? So I've even mentioned these symptoms on a lot of the last videos that I've done. Since my treatment, I've been having a dull yet persistent pain around the lymph node in my groin, and it kind of will either radiate up and down towards my hip itself or down into my quad. And during treatment, I noticed this when I was doing like some light stretches. Anytime I would cross my left leg over my right leg, there would be this like kind of grabbing pain, but nothing that felt like an injury from playing sports. Like, I just played basketball 2 hours before I'm making this video, and you know, I felt nothing that entire time. So it doesn't seem to be a sports related injury, even though when I met with my doctor today, he did bring up that, like, you know, that is a possibility. But this pain has been there for the entire 8 months. So during treatment, I had been diagnosed with cancer, and one of the spots was on my iliac lymph node, which is kind of in your abdomen towards your groin. So when I would feel that pain there, it made sense to me. I thought, okay, I have an affected area, and you know, maybe treatment and my cells are having a little bit of a fight, or the cancer itself is making my lymph node, you know, bigger or stretching or something like that. That added up to me. In fact, just like any other powerful pharmaceutical that we put into our bodies, which immunotherapy is, there are side effects that include, you know, pain, fatigue, joint pain. That's actually something that I've experienced a lot of. Both my shoulders, they pop consistently now, whereas they haven't before. My hip does this, so clearly my joints are affected. And the persistent pain after treatment, I just thought, okay, maybe this is something that I'm going to have to like sit with for a little bit and it'll go away. Also, the timeline of this is not exactly congruent with what I would qualify as a huge cancer scare, because you know, I had to have a PET scan that was clean in order to be in remission. That was 5 months ago. Then I had a circulating tumor test a few weeks after that. That was negative. I had a PET scan pretty much a month ago, and that was clean. But that's the injustice of being a cancer patient. No matter how safe you seemingly are, there always is some real risk. And no matter how small that real risk is, your mental health is always at risk of being thrown off by something that changes, which, you know, this pain has gotten a little bit stronger and a little bit more persistent. So all of a sudden my brain is going, buddy, you better get this checked out. So what do I do from here? Luckily for me, the answer is pretty straightforward right now, at least this portion of the information gathering. I was going to have a regularly scheduled checkup with my oncologist today anyway, and so I decided to reach out to him and tell him that, hey, this is kind of worrying me, and what can we do about it? So when I went there, we bumped up the other circulating tumor test that I was going to do in 6 weeks. We changed that to today. We took my blood, and then we moved my scan up an entire month so that I could kind of like put my fears to rest. But this actually touches upon a really important element of being a cancer patient that I've learned through 2 diagnoses, but I think it's important if you are going through cancer or you know someone who is, you always have to be your own advocate. Like, I probably would have gotten this resolved one way or another, and, you know, I really don't think it's cancer, but knock on everything on earth, you know. But let's say it isn't, and I would have found out, you know, a month down the line or a month later in both capacities for these tests, my mental health would have been really struggling during these months. I mean, my mental health is kind of shaky right now, and I know that my parents and my brother and my friends and my girlfriend, like, I have people who are concerned because I've been telling them, like, hey, this pain is kind of weird, it's changed, you know, I got to make sure this isn't cancer. So in order to not do that, I had to be my own advocate. But also, I don't want to understate how fortunate I am to not only recognize that I should advocate for myself, but to be able to do so, because that's an issue that a lot of cancer patients deal with. Like outside of this scare, which is real because I'm a stage 4 patient, so anything needs to be addressed. But outside of this scare, I am otherwise physically healthy. My mental health has been pretty good. My support system is always there for me. I have a great relationship with my oncologist, which, this is evidence of it as he pushes things up for me. But still, like, what's the best case scenario here? I get a test back that says, okay, I don't have cancer, but then I have to address this like 8-month-long persistent pain. Like I'm gonna have to go get an MRI. I'm gonna have to go check out some physical therapy stuff. Like those are the best case scenarios. So I'm kind of realizing that just 5 months into remission for me, this is gonna be a roller coaster that I have to get ready to ride. And maybe right now I'm not fully prepared for it, but I'm growing my skills to be able to ride the roller coaster for hopefully a long life. And maybe that's the takeaway in all this, is learning to not stress as much about the uncertainty, which sounds crazy because like that's what being a cancer patient is. It's stressing about uncertainty. Like I'm on camera right now saying I don't think this is a huge risk to be cancer, and I'll be so pissed if it is. But like part of me knows that given the timeline, even if it was, I'd have a reasonable chance of treating it. But that's not always going to be the case. There might be some scenarios in which my cancer comes back and it's a less, certain situation. And there are people who just don't have any chance of treating their cancer. So I should be grateful for being able to sit here and pontificate about if I have cancer or not. More to the point, talking about it with my parents and my partner and my oncologist, and now sitting here in front of this camera and talking about it with you guys has made me feel a lot better about it. Even though cancer is super random and super cruel, logic does win out sometimes, and logic would point to me not being super likely to have a recurrence. I know I keep jinxing this on camera, but let's just go with it. And so if you have someone in your life who is going through diagnosis or treatment or is in remission and they want to talk about something, please do that with them. I think it's really, really important. And if you're a cancer patient yourself and you have these kind of stressors, talk about it, whether it's with someone in your family or a friend or online or whatever. Go to a therapist, get it off your chest. Because believe me, I've been holding the stress in for a few weeks right now, and the more that I get more information and the more I talk about it, the better I'm feeling. With that in mind, I'm going to try and not let the stress dominate my brain too much for the next 7 to 10 days until I get my circulating tumor test results back. I'm sure I'll stress here and there, but ultimately I'm going to try and keep living my life. I'll let you guys know those results, and in the meantime, I'll try and get some more shirts so that when I'm on camera, I'll have some variety. Thanks for watching so much. I really do appreciate it every single time, and I'll be back with you shortly. Until then, bye!